Not much for the recap this time. Sam and Dean go hunt down Rowena, who's apparently being mean to Reapers because she's trying to get Death's attention to bring back Crowley. Instead, Death gets confused and brings back Naomi instead of the Season 8 villain we actually wanted.
And I ain't got a poker face, so now I'm trapped here inside my own body as I watch the light.
Well, I said that any episode following Scooby Natural would pale in comparison to it. On a similar note, any episode following Bring 'Em Back Alive will almost have to look better. How much better? Well, I'll admit that I'm torn. On the one hand, I'm a stickler for canon. On the other hand, this episode seemed to be making an effort to burn down Season 9, which is the season I hate the most. So, it's really hard to hate it for that reason. Still, let's have fun picking on its canon problems in season order. Season 4, Episode 15, Death Takes a Holiday. Why did the demons bother with Death's side when they could have just gotten a sufficiently powerful witch to kill Reapers instead? If Sam had seen pictures of Reapers dying, why did he act shocked over the conditions of the seal? Maybe he researched it later, but if those ancient pictures existed before that episode, why didn't the demons bother researching on how to kill Reapers instead of stealing from Death, which never seems like a good idea. In Season 5, there's the question of if angels are powering heaven, why did Castiel grow weaker the longer he was away from it? In Season 6, if angels power heaven, why do Raphael and Castiel bother with a war that could destroy everything? And if gathering enough souls empowers Castiel to nearly the level of Chuck, or maybe just shy of it, why isn't heaven maintained by the souls there? And in Hell's case, are souls maintaining it, or is it demons? Is it the archangels locked up in its cage that sustain hell? If we got rid of all demons, would hell suffer the same fate as heaven without angels? In Season 8, if Adrill didn't kill Naomi, why didn't Metatron bother finishing her off? In Season 9, how come heaven didn't collapse when all the angels but Metatron were kicked out of it? Why did Metatron bother killing so many when he needed them to keep heaven online? Season 11, why didn't God bother creating or resurrecting more angels before he left to keep heaven running? Now, in this, I looked it up. So far in this current season, we've had 5 angels killed in the Prime Universe. I'm not going to count anything in the Hellscape verse, and here they are. In Season 12, we had 5 more die in the present time. We're not counting angels killed in flashbacks, or that time Castiel got killed. This means that if we take the 11 angels this episode established now are left, at the end of Season 11, there were only 21 angels total. And in no way was Chuck concerned about, since the angels are needed to maintain heaven. I mean, he didn't think about conjuring up a few extra to keep the lights on. This whole revelation, I get that the writer's doing it because we need a reason to try and care about the angels and what happened to them. And as I've pointed out in my complaints about Season 8's episode Sacrifice, the show has worked so hard to make angels unlikable that anything happening to them doesn't intend to make the audience care. So I at least get the meta reason for it. It just doesn't really work in the show. I am also disappointed that the show had Rowena killing Reapers. I mean, it would make just as much sense if she was kidnapping them, making people stay alive, and a callback to that 4th season episode classic I mentioned earlier. It would be within canon that Reapers can be restrained, and Rowena might hold a lot of them hostage to try and bargain with New Death. Plus, doing this would cement her as reforming, as technically now she's saving lives this time, and putting the boys on the horns of a dilemma as they essentially have to take actions leading to the deaths of people instead of saving them. Plus, when you do that, the logic of a mass casualty event would make more sense as a solution to people alive who shouldn't be, because killing a whole bunch of folks doesn't really make sense when you have people that are dead that shouldn't be. It's a weird bit of story logic there. As far as Naomi's returning, I'm torn over it. On the one hand, it bugs me that despite the efforts to try and make death meaningful again, the show just keeps bringing back characters that aren't really needed. Let's take an example from last season. The show up and remembered that Joshua from season 5, Sadriel, our generic angel stand-in. Anyway, the show up and remembered that this guy had never really been confirmed as alive or dead. So they brought him back. Great idea. Until he appears on screen and then they killed him. Why bother with that? Had they left him alone and not brought him back in season 12, he could have been the one to show up this episode and return, and it would have a lot more weight and meaning that one of the other good, decent angels we've seen on the show is the one issuing the warning to Castiel. On the other hand, Naomi was a mess of a character in season 8, as her actions just made no chuck damn sense. So if they can start to repair her like they did Rowena, maybe this will turn out okay. I'm just not sure, because Gabriel's return has really shaken my goodwill and faith in this current crew. I will admit, though, I am laughing a lot because I know I've argued with some other fans over whether Reapers were a class of angel or not, and this episode pretty much confirms that I was right. They are definitely not angels, because otherwise you could just bring a bunch of Reapers into heaven and have them power the place. Of course, now that still makes it really weird that angel blades kill them, but anyway. There were some things I did like in this episode. For transition, let me point out the good and bad in a single scene. Near the beginning of the episode, we have Cass and Dean talking about their situation. This talk concludes with Cass deciding that he's going to go to heaven and try to talk to the angel. At the core, this is a good idea. The characters are going over their goals and the methods they think will help them achieve those goals, as well as why they think that about those methods. This is great, something we've frequently missed in earlier seasons. The thing is, they have just lost Gabriel, and Cass is explaining that he has no other ideas. The problem is, they've just had one setback, showtime-wise, almost immediately ago. It kind of leads the audience to wonder if Cass doesn't have any other ideas because he hasn't even tried to think of any. It gives a sense of artificialness. It nearly shows the audience the writer's hands. I want the character to do this, so the character can't see any other option but this. A simple time skip to a week or so, which I think the show is due for anyway, to get this to line up with a real time, along with the line that they've been making efforts to work on anything, so we have a real sense that they have been looking and trying to find other solutions and are running out. It will make it seem a lot more natural and more organic. It makes the whole scene and characters feel more real. I do like that Rowena is keeping some consistent characterization. There is very clear connection between her previous episode, and I like that she and Sam have kind of a very weird friendship now. I'm torn on the fact that her goal this episode is to bring back Crowley instead of, say, Oscar, which was established as the one she really did like. Or that even her goal was just to try and make herself permanently immortal as a solution to the whole Lucifer problem. This sudden change for her fondness for her son after working so hard to try and kill him previously, it just kind of comes off weird. I did like that I kept waiting for a twist in the reveal with Bernard that, maybe he was like some sort of weird zombie or revenant or enslaved. Nope, he's just a regular dude. Digs Rowena. I can dig that. It was nicely done. And it definitely looks like now that Ruth Connell is being given some material that actually gives her range and letting our gal show off that she can really act. And I approve of our actors being challenged. I like that we got close-ups of Sam's Taurus Judge revolver. That's a sexy gun right there. And I always support the show having more outright brawls and action sequences. The makeup team this episode really made Dean look like he was beat to hell after the fight, and a bloody face is one of my standards for what makes a good action star. Jensen, you're a fine action star. Since getting promoted to the Death, Billy's grown a lot more on me as a character. I wasn't really sold on her before, but now, like, her totally chilling while Rowena just blasted her totally was completely badass, and that did some work to kind of make this Death respectable again, both as a character and a concept. So, getting a promotion has really helped Billy out, in my opinion. The new Reaper Jessica was pretty hot, so that's always a plus. All in all, larger picture, it's kind of weak. Breaking even canon, I don't like. Technically pushes us down to a 2. But there's a lot of decent character moments and individual parts of this episode that works really, really well. And the fact that the canon this episode is burning down is some of the show's worst canon, that kind of pushes the score up to a 3. On the other hand, some of the canon that's been messed with is Kripke's original 5. I guess for the episode, I'll have to give it 2.5. 2.5 for the final score. Sorry for the delay on this video. Stressful week at the day job. But I'm going to try and give you 2 videos this week, and we'll get caught up with the next one.